Let's talk about the EU's bold plan for cars. In the early 2020s, as climate change became an ever more urgent global crisis, the European Union decided it was time for a radical shift. Policymakers, scientists, and industry leaders gathered in Brussels, determined to set a new course for the continent's future. The result was a sweeping vision that would touch the lives of millions and reshape one of Europe's most important industries, the automobile. The goal? Carbon neutrality by 2050. And the biggest target was the passenger car. Cars are everywhere in Europe, on city streets, in rural towns, and connecting countries across borders. They're also a major source of greenhouse gas emissions. So, the EU set its sights on transforming how Europeans move, aiming to make every new car on the road part of the solution, not the problem. The solution was as ambitious as it was controversial. From 2035, no new petrol or diesel cars could be sold in the EU. This wasn't just a suggestion, it was a binding regulation, a line in the sand that would force automakers to rethink everything from design to production. The message was clear. The age of the internal combustion engine was coming to an end. This was a seismic shift, meant to force the industry towards zero-emission vehicles, mainly battery electrics. The EU envisioned a future where quiet, clean electric cars would glide through city centers, reducing air pollution and noise, and helping to fight climate change. It was a vision that promised cleaner air, healthier cities, and a new era of innovation. The plan was about more than clean air. It was about jobs, tech leadership, and energy independence. By leading the world in electric vehicle technology, Europe hoped to secure its place as a global innovator, create new high-tech jobs, and reduce its reliance on imported oil and gas. The transition was also seen as a way to revitalize European manufacturing and ensure the continent's economic future. For automakers, the message was clear: invest in electric or get left behind. Companies scrambled to announce new electric models, overhaul factories, and retrain workers. Boardrooms buzzed with talk of battery supply chains, software development, and the race to build the best EVs. The pressure was on to innovate faster than ever before. Billions poured into batteries, charging networks, and R&D. Across the continent, new battery plants broke ground, and charging stations began popping up in cities and along highways. Engineers worked around the clock to improve battery range, charging speed, and vehicle performance. The scale of investment was unprecedented, with governments and private companies betting big on an electric future. The 2035 ban was the engine of this transformation, a non-negotiable waypoint to climate neutrality. It was a clear deadline that gave the industry a sense of urgency, and a target to rally around. Every new model, every infrastructure project, every policy was measured against the ticking clock to 2035. But grand plans meet messy realities. As the details of the ban emerged, so did the challenges. Policymakers debated the fine print, industry groups lobbied for exceptions, and citizens wondered how the changes would affect their daily lives. The transition was never going to be simple. The EV transition wasn't as smooth as hoped. Consumers worried about price, charging, and battery life. Many Europeans found electric cars too expensive, charging infrastructure patchy, and range anxiety a real concern. For rural drivers and those without home charging, the switch felt daunting. The promise of a seamless transition clashed with the reality of limited options and unanswered questions. Carmakers, especially in Germany, felt the financial strain of retooling everything. The cost of shutting down old production lines, investing in new technology, and managing workforce transitions was enormous. Some factories faced layoffs or temporary closures, and workers worried about their future in an industry undergoing rapid change. The certainty the EU wanted started to look shaky. Political debates grew more heated, with some leaders questioning whether the timeline was realistic or fair. Economic pressures, energy crises, and global competition all threatened to derail the plan. The once unified vision began to fracture under the weight of competing interests and unforeseen obstacles. Powerful interests began to push back. Automakers, unions, and lobbyists argued for delays, exemptions, or alternative technologies. Protests erupted in major cities, and industry leaders warned of job losses and economic fallout. The battle lines were drawn between those demanding urgent climate action and those fearing the costs of change. The stage was set for a major rethink. The EU's 2035 plan had sparked a revolution, but the path forward was anything but certain. As Europe stood at a crossroads, The world watched to see whether this bold experiment would succeed, or if the road to climate neutrality would need a new map. Enter Germany, home of the car and a powerhouse economy. In 2025, Chancellor Friedrich Merz called for a rethink of the 2035 ban. Germany's proposal focus on climate neutrality, not just banning combustion engines. They want exemptions for hybrids and range-extended electrics. Cars that use both batteries and efficient engines, especially if powered by synthetic e-fuels. The argument, there's more than one path to green. Critics say this dilutes climate goals to protect legacy industries. The debate is on. Germany's push isn't just one party's idea, it's a national concern. Both the CDU and SPD back flexibility, worried about jobs and economic stability. The car industry supports millions from factory workers to suppliers. Rapid electrification could mean job losses and losing ground to Chinese rivals. Regional leaders, especially in Bavaria, are vocal supporters, reflecting pressure from local industries. The coalition argues that hybrids and e-fuels are a bridge to the future, not a retreat. For them, pragmatism and economic survival go hand in hand with climate action. The automotive industry stands at a pivotal crossroads, facing one of the most consequential decisions in its history. The path forward is anything but clear, and the stakes have never been higher. On one side, legacy automakers, especially those in Germany, with their deep roots in engineering and tradition, are pushing for flexibility. They argue that hybrid vehicles and advanced combustion engine technologies should be allowed as a bridge to the future. For these companies, the transition to fully electric vehicles is a massive undertaking, requiring not just new factories and supply chains, but also a fundamental shift in how cars are designed, built, and sold. These automakers point out that electric vehicle adoption has been slower than many policymakers hoped, especially in regions where charging infrastructure is still lacking. They believe hybrids can deliver meaningful emissions reductions right now, without waiting for the world to catch up to the promise of full electrification. On the other side of the debate are the EV-first brands, companies like Tesla, Volvo, and Polestar. These automakers have staked their futures on electric vehicles, investing billions in new technology, battery plants, and charging networks. For them, the 2035 ban on new combustion engine cars is not just a policy, it's a promise that justifies their bold bets. They argue that changing the rules now would punish those who took the risk to innovate early, and reward those who hesitated. The EV pioneers see any delay or loophole as a threat to the momentum that's finally building in the industry. Battery manufacturers and charging infrastructure companies are also deeply invested in the electric future. They warn that backtracking on deadlines would create confusion, disrupt business plans, and slow the rollout of the very technologies needed to make EVs mainstream. For these innovators, a clear and firm deadline is essential. It's the only way to ensure that investment continues to flow, and that the industry keeps pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Germany's recent proposal to allow exceptions for synthetic fuels has sparked intense debate across Europe. Critics argue that it risks undermining the entire project, sending mixed signals to investors, and slowing the continent's progress toward climate goals. The stakes are enormous for both camps. The decisions made now will shape not just the future of the car industry, but the pace of Europe's transition to a cleaner, greener economy. Germany's car industry is under immense pressure. The cost of switching to EVs is huge, even for giants. Chinese EV makers with cheaper advanced cars are flooding the market. German brands risk losing their edge and jobs are on the line. The government fears a perfect storm expensive tech shifts, foreign competition, and economic pain. Allowing hybrids is seen as buying time for a smoother transition. The anxiety is real, from boardrooms to factory floors. Germany isn't just lobbying Brussels, it's rolling out subsidies at home. Bavaria's Markus Söder proposes up to $5,000 for new electric or hybrid cars, but only if they're made with German parts. The aim: protect local jobs and make German cars more competitive against imports, especially from China. Including hybrids signals government support for these technologies. But this Made in Germany clause could violate EU rules on fair competition. It risks sparking a subsidy war across Europe. The move shows the tension between green goals and economic nationalism. Germany is walking a tightrope. All eyes are now on Brussels, where the future of Europe's automotive industry and climate ambitions hangs in the balance. The city has become the epicenter of a heated debate as policymakers, industry leaders, and activists converge to influence the next steps. The 2035 ban on new petrol and diesel cars was once the crown jewel of the EU's Green Deal, a bold move to lead the world in climate action. But Germany's last-minute challenge has thrown the plan into uncertainty, forcing the European Commission to launch an urgent review process. In response, the EU opened a wide-ranging public consultation. Car makers, national governments, environmental groups, and citizens have all been invited to share their views. The debate is fierce. Automakers warn of job losses and economic disruption, while environmentalists argue that any delay threatens Europe's climate leadership. Commission leaders have started to signal a willingness to compromise. They're considering limited exemptions, perhaps allowing hybrid vehicles or cars powered by e-fuels to be sold after 2035. These options are being weighed carefully, as the Commission tries to balance economic realities with environmental commitments. A final decision is expected soon, and the stakes could not be higher. The EU faces a stark choice: stand firm on the original ban, risk a political showdown by rejecting Germany's demands, or seek a middle ground that could satisfy both sides but risk diluting the policy's impact. Rejecting Germany's proposal could trigger a major political clash within the bloc, straining unity at a critical time. On the other hand, accepting it risks alienating environmental groups and undermining the EU's credibility as a climate leader. Most analysts predict the EU will opt for a narrow exemption, allowing some flexibility for hybrids or e-fuels, while keeping the main goal of phasing out fossil fuel cars intact. This approach could help smooth the transition for industry, while still pushing forward on climate targets. Whatever the outcome, the decision will have far-reaching consequences. It will not only shape the future of Europe's car industry, but also test the EU's resolve on climate action. The world is watching to see if Europe can deliver on its promises. Europe stands at a crossroads. If the EU holds firm, it sends a strong climate signal but risks a rift with Germany. If it gives in, it may protect jobs but damage its green reputation and unity. The likely outcome, a compromise, strict, narrow exemptions for hybrids or e-fuels. This would let Germany claim a win while keeping most cars zero emission. The debate exposes deep divisions over how fast and costly the green transition should be. The final decision will test Europe's unity and its resolve to lead on climate. The stakes go far beyond cars. This isn't just about engines, it's about Europe's future. Weakening the 2035 ban could slow emissions cuts and climate progress. Hybrids offer choice but risk locking in fossil fuels and delaying EV investment. A strict ban could mean cheaper running costs long-term, but higher prices and range anxiety now. The decision will shape Europe's industrial strategy and global standing. Stick to the ban, and Europe leads in green tech. Soften it, and it risks falling behind. Ultimately, this is about what kind of future Europe wants: balancing jobs, climate, and leadership. The road chosen now will echo for generations.